3 days. 3 days is all we've got, everybody. 3 days. 3 days until LSU kickoff against Clemson inside the fake Death Valley. Must win game. I mean, technically not. LSU could lose this game and still have all their goals in front of them. I don't care. For me, mentally, psychologically, for this team, physically, to feel confident playing alongside each other, one another. LSU have to win this game. I'm going to say it. This is a must-win game. You cannot lose a sixth straight opener. You just can't. You can't lose a sixth straight opener. 3 days until basically a playoff game launches the regular season for LSU this year. Last year, it didn't feel like it with USC. We didn't realize how big that game would end up becoming. And to be honest, a lot of people, especially in the press box, were expecting LSU to really take over in that game against USC. And instead, LSU capitulated physically, got bullied, got beat up, didn't give up much on the ground, but let Miller Moss throw for 378, iced and diced us all over the place, and then USC turned on the running game to close that game out. And nobody saw that coming, that LSU would choke in such a way against USC. And they didn't realize that it would be basically that game in the 4-5 loss to Florida, to a 4-5 Florida team that would really actually keep us out of the college football playoff, which is just insane. We could have had 3 losses and been in the 12-team playoff, and we literally slept on that opportunity, completely screwed that opportunity up. And so you go into this season and you're saying a number 4 team, potential 3 first-round picks, possibly 4, on that offense, on that defensive line as well. You have stars at receiver, fantastic defensive players all over the place. You've got a Heisman-worthy quarterback in Cade Klubnik, and it's going to be in the fake Death Valley, the fake Tigers. There's going to be so much blood libel between both LSU and Clemson in the next 3 days. You are going to hear it. You are going to hear the gauntlet of LSU Clemson hate talk over the next 72 hours. You're going to hear things you never thought you would hear. You're going to hear obscenity and madness on a scale I don't even think we can comprehend. And I don't know if Brian Kelly or Dabo Swinney can comprehend it, because they're both giving interviews, media availability about this kickoff, LSU at Clemson. It's very interesting to hear Dabo talk about LSU's team, and he seemed to really be afraid of Caden Durham. Had a lot of love for Caden Durham. Didn't really seem to be too afraid of handling our receiving core, but he seemed really afraid of Caden Durham. I'm gonna touch on that in just a second. And then you heard Brian Kelly on the other side say that LSU will most likely be rotating offensive linemen in and out. 8 or 9, up to 8 or 9 offensive linemen who can be thrown in there any moment. We haven't usually seen that. A shuffling, rotating offensive line. We've just, I mean, you've got a swing man usually, and that's about it. And the 5 that are out there are going to be the 5 that end the game usually. This season, LSU could be rotating offensive linemen in and out of the game, and that might be a great thing. That might be something that they've figured out. It could also be just another sign of disaster, another sign of we really don't know our best personnel at this spot. As bullish as Kelly wanted to be, as bullish as Kelly was about his career and his expertise with offensive line play, it's not just past, past accomplishments will just keep signing this check every single season, because you can point to guys who went to the draft and guys who had high picks, but you can also point to some bad offensive line play overall, like say for example last year. That was a poor offensive line. I don't think they were given enough confidence and enough continuation to like let's keep running the football so that we can try and get better at running the football instead of like abandoning the run too quickly, which Joe Sloan did a lot of last year. But like, I get why Joe Sloan did. He probably, okay, it's a more advantageous play to put the ball in Nussmeier's arm, let him get 5-6 yards, than try and even get 1 or 2 running the football here. I get it. You get it. But it was very interesting to hear them kind of go back and forth and kind of discuss each other's teams. Not really too much bulletin board material there. But one thing I really found just stunning was Brian Kelly has a lot of confidence going into this game. I think while a lot of the country has just already penciled LSU out of this game, they've already made it like, 35-17, 35-20, LSU making it somewhat of a game, but not really type of a prediction. That's kind of swept the country. And everyone just kind of thinks Clemson there, yeah, Clemson's probably the best team in the country. Clemson's an SEC team in the ACC. I've heard that from some people I respect, and I just cannot disagree more than enough. Okay, they were an SEC team that's playing in ACC. Okay, I guess they went winless against the SEC last year, so they would have been winless in their conference last year. But they won their conference last year. So they could win the ACC, but then go winless to the SEC. I understand. They have more talent than any other ACC school. I understand. They have won multiple championships over Nick Saban's Alabama. I understand. They went to 2 other national championship games, one against Alabama and one where they got, had a 10-point lead over Joe Burrow's LSU, could not hang on to that. And we all know what happened there at the Superdome. So I understand. They've been to 4 title games, won 2 of them. Dabo Swinney, fantastic at building and retaining a staff, fantastic at building and retaining a roster. He has now crossed that threshold where he's reinvented himself and he's now ready for the NIL world and all that stuff. Okay. But this is a team that is severely overrated, and it's not their fault. It's the media, and it's the fan bases. And it's a lot of the same narratives that we just kind of pencil it in. Clemson are going to win this by 40. Clemson got this. Brian Kelly, failure. LSU, failure. Week 1 failure. LSU don't have a defense anymore still. LSU, they've got a quarterback who throws more turnovers than touchdowns. All these narratives towards LSU have just been bullshit. The only narrative that really has made sense this offseason is the narrative about the offensive line. And even that, you look at Clemson's offensive line, and you're like, okay, Walker Park's out. He was like your Will Campbell. He's out most likely for this game. Or he's going to be playing, 55%, if that. Well, who do you have next? Who's like the guy you're next most confident in? Tristan Lee. Like, no one is talking about this. Everyone's focusing on LSU's O line, first year O line, unfamiliar O line against this incredible elite D line. And I understand that could be something that just takes over the game, right? That could be a matchup that really just, they could hurt Nussmeier. They could destroy our offensive line. They could beat up our offensive line, shut us down and being able to run the football, shut us down being able to pass the football. I understand. But a defensive line in that situation is not going to control an entire game, not against a quarterback like Nussmeier and not against skill position guys like that. And then at the other side, you're talking about Cade Klubnik and this O line with a true freshman running back being your starter at running back. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, we're fine over here. This offensive line is just perfect. We're going to have Walker Parks on crutches starting at left tackle, and we're going to have this offensive line is going to be perfect. With Tristan Lee, we can really hang our hat on him. No, you can't. Like, I've heard way too much of a narrative about LSU's offensive line and not enough film study on LSU's offensive line. And then we've just heard this narrative over and over and over and over without anyone discussing the flip side. That Clemson's offensive line maybe isn't that good at all. Maybe they're just as good as LSU's offensive line, but LSU actually has better prospects in the running back room. Think about that. Think about that right there. Okay, that's something no one's discussing, but when you actually go from here and, after you're watching this show, go watch some Clemson O-line tape. I guarantee you will not be wowed or bowled over. They're good. They've got their moments, but I can't really see why we're not discussing their O-line as a deficiency. Not only that, but their soft center on defense. We have talked so much at length, or if it was Charles Barkley, length. We've talked at length about, LSU and the defensive errors and the secondary and the linebackers and the no tackling and the safeties being terrible and the corners can't cover. And we've heard all this stuff like, the 2023 defense is about to go roll out there in 3 days. That's basically what they've prepared the entire national world for, is LSU's defense, same old, without even looking at not even looking at a depth chart, not even watching some film. They're just like, same old LSU defense. It's going to be terrible. And when you actually look at Clemson's defense, yes, great linebacker in Sammy Brown. Yes, possibly the best defensive line in the country as far as just pure talent. But at corner, at safety, the most, and in two of those linebacker positions, you can absolutely burn this Clemson team. In my film study, there was a few plays that were just always open against Clemson. Inside passes, inside intermediate passes, long in routes, slants. Those are always open, it seems. And especially with the type of talent LSU have at receiver, I would be stunned if these guys can't get open. And then there's safeties and trying to control running backs out of the backfield, maybe like a swing pass play. In 1v1 space, they cannot make the tackle, those safeties. They cannot make the tackle, those corners. And the linebackers, they need everybody to be on the ball to really get the guy to the ground. Point is, I think we're looking at a lot of aspects of this game like in a kaleidoscope where we quite don't know what we're looking at. We kind of see some figments, some little bits, and our brain kind of fills in the rest. LSU defense, ... has to suck. Your brain's got to fill it in. LSU defense has to always suck, even though LSU spent most of their transfer budget, that $18.5 million, on defensive upgrades. That's why last year's starters on defense are either backups or barely in a position on this defense. Massive upgrades in the talent, massive upgrades in the leadership, massive upgrades in the versatility department. And you also have Harold Perkins back. You've also got a fully fit Whit Weeks back. You've also got Jacoby and Guillory back. You've got way more talent on that defensive line than you had last year by probably 5 times. LSU have one of the best linebacking units in the country, especially when a guy like Davon Keys, who had a pick six against Oklahoma and put up over 50 tackles in just a handful of starts at the end of the season. And that guy is like maybe like your third string. He might not even start. So like and you also got massive upgrades with AJ Halsey, who's going to make those tackles. He's going to make those plays. He has the power. He has the pace to play that position the way LSU fans have really been just desperate to see it played. And then you got Cooley, who's got the versatility to play it as a really awesome free safety nickel. And I think Blake Baker is only going to continue to improve with his defenses year to year, which his track record, his history just proves every time, year to year improvement. But I really think we've been looking at this game in a different way that is kind of annoying. Constantly hearing the same old thing: LSU's O-line versus this Clemson D-line. And it's like no one's asked themselves, what if LSU cannot stop throwing explosive plays over the top of Clemson's secondary? What if that happens? What if Clemson just can seriously not cover LSU's receivers with a porous cornerback room and kind of a disorganized safety room, and LSU throwing it over their heads every play, throwing it across the middle? Deal with this speed. Deal with Chris Hilton Jr., deal with Xavier Thomas, deal with Aaron Anderson, deal with Barry and Brown, Nick Anderson, and then Caden Durham to wear you all out, Caleb Jackson to physically punish you in the running game after the fact. We just have not heard enough accurate narratives about this game. I think you look at, that's going to be the LSU O-line, and yes, that's so important. LSU's O-line has to figure it out. I'm not trying to say that it's not a factor or any of that type of stuff. Don't swing the pendulum from one extreme to the other. I'm just simply saying I haven't even heard any national analysts. I haven't even heard many people, including like Clemson beat people. I haven't even heard many of these people even talking about Clemson's soft secondary. Clemson's secondary isn't as good as LSU's, in truth. Clemson's linebacking room isn't as good as LSU's as well. And yet we're hearing about them being the better defense. And I understand, the defensive front is that good. They are that good. They can take over games. And against this offensive line, you betcha they could do it. But if they do that, if they take over this game against our offensive line, you can be guaranteed LSU's defense is going to play out of their mind, and it's going to be a very low-scoring struggle of just blood, if that's what it has to be. But I really think there is a major opportunity for Garrett Nussmeier to absolutely roast and toast all the way to the East Coast this secondary for Clemson and this linebacker room. These safeties, oh my God, Clemson's safeties are all over the place, just a shade better than 2023, 2024 LSU safety play. And I think LSU can really tap into that and expose that. Finally, Garrett Nussmeier wearing the number 18. He's been chosen. Everyone thought it was going to be Witt or possibly West Weeks wearing the jersey. And lo and behold, it is Garrett Nussmeier, the first LSU quarterback since Matt Mock to wear the jersey. And remember, Matt Mock's last game as an LSU Tiger, wearing number 18. What did he do? He won LSU their first national championship since 1958 inside the Superdome, carving apart the Oklahoma Sooners. So Nussmeier following right in the trail of an absolute LSU goat. Of an absolute LSU goat. Oh shit, we put up something from our season predictions. Um, if you haven't watched that, by the way, our season prediction show, definitely check that out because we go. I mean, we go through everything game, and we really discuss it as much as you would probably want someone to discuss these type of things. But yes, Garrett Nussmeier wearing that number 18, and I love it. I love the pick. I love that he's being given this historic opportunity because he obviously wasn't going to be wearing the number 7, but the 18 is just right. Selfless, but it's about his character. It's about the poise. It's about the leadership. But it's about the fact that really that number and what that number means, what that number exemplifies, and what usually the players provide who are wearing that number. That's what Nussmeier is all about, and that's what Nussmeier has been all about for this LSU squad. And I'm just so happy for him to get this honor. He deserves it. 3 days from LSU Clemson, everybody. We'll be doing a lot more tonight. We're going to be doing another show tonight. Tune in for that. We've got a few guests coming in the next few days. We're trying to kind of figure that out last second, but I think you will be highly entertained, highly engrossed, and maybe a little titillated by some of these guests. Anyway, everybody, thank you for watching, and we'll be talking to you in a bit. Go Tigers. 3 days, y'all. 3 freaking days. 3 days.